question 11.3. Now 11.3 has to do with this geometric sequence. We've been talking about arithmetic up to this point, which means that you have a common difference. I have an equation for a geometric sequence where I can find the 20th term or the 25th term, but notice it no longer has a D, it has what's called an R. An R is a common ratio. Geometric sequence means that I have a series of numbers or a sequence of numbers that I am going to multiply by a common ratio. So of course if I multiplied here by 2, I would get 32 as the next answer. And if I kept going, I would get 64 and so forth. So this is all about geometric where they have a common ratio. Again though, I've got an equation where I can find, let's say, the 25th term in this geometric sequence. So I just apply that equation. So a sub 25 is equal to the first term, which is 4, times the common ratio, which in this case is going to be 2, but it's raised to the 25th minus 1 power. Now these things can get big in a hurry. Take your calculator, take 4 times 2, and then your raise button looks like that. It's up there underneath clear, raised to the 24th power, and it's going to give you 6710884. That right there is the 25th term in that sequence. They might ask you to find the next few terms, or they might ask you to find the 40th term. You just have to pay attention to what instructions they are giving you. So let's say I wanted 4, 16, 64, and I go find the next 3 terms, okay? So first thing I have to do is I have to find the common ratio. Now I can do that any number of ways. I can look at it and go 4 times what equals 16, or I can say 16 divided by what equals 4. I know that I'm going to multiply both of those by 4. So I take 64 times 4 to get the next number. It's going to be 256. I'm going to take that number times 4. It's going to give me 1,024. I'm going to take that number times 4, and it's going to give me 4,096. Okay, so that might be one way that they asked the question. Or they might go, I'm going to give you, they might say a sub 1 is equal to 3. The common ratio is 2. And they want you to find the very first 6 terms. Okay, that might be one thing they asked. So I would start out with 3. I would multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2, and multiply by 2. So that would be the first 6 terms if they ask for that. They might ask you to use that information to find the 14th term. Okay, now again, you could write down 14 blanks and you could work through it, or you could use this formula. So a sub 14 is equal to 3 plus the common ratio they've given me of 2. Up here is going to be your n minus 1, so that's going to be to the 13th power. So I have, whoops, it's not add, it's times. 3 times 2 raised to the 13th power is going to give me 24,576. And that's going to be the 14th term in that sequence. Let's do another one here. Let's do one that they just give me some other things. Let's say this one, they want the 9th term is what you're looking for. But they tell me that a sub 3 is equal to 63. And they tell me that r is equal to negative 3. Okay, so I can find the first term, okay, based on the fact that that is a sub 3. So I come over here and I go, well, a sub 3 is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to the 3 minus 1 power. Well, I know some of this. A sub 3 is 63. I don't know a sub 1, but I do know the ratio, so it's negative 3 squared. So 63 is equal to a sub 1. When I square this negative 3, I'm going to get a 9. When I divide it, a sub 1 is equal to a 7. Okay, now I could find the ninth term because I know everything I need. A sub 9 is equal to 7 times negative 3 raised to the 9 minus 1 power. So 7 times negative 3 raised to the 8th power. Now make sure you put the negative 3 in parentheses. So I have 7 times, parentheses, negative 3 raised to the 8th power is going to give me 45,927. That is going to be the ninth term in the sequence that you have an a sub 3 of 63 and an r of negative 1. It's all about using the equations. All about it. All right, then sometimes they leave off stuff. So they might give you something that looks like this. Let's put some decimals in here. So 3.4, and then let's say I have 3 blanks in the middle, and then I have that as my last term. So this is the first term, the second term, the third term, the fourth term. This is the 5th term, or a sub 5. I don't know what goes in here because I don't know the common ratio, but I can use this information and that equation to find it. So a sub 5 is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to the 5 minus 1 power. I know this. This is 2,125 is equal to 3.4 times r raised to the 4th power. Okay, I want to solve for the r, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the 2,125, I'm going to divide it by the 3.4, and I'm going to get 625 is equal to r to the 4th power. To solve for the r, I'm going to have to take the 4th root of both sides, okay? So the 4th root, now you're going to have to do that by putting the 4 in, going to math, going down to number 5, and then put your 625 in, and it's going to give me r is equal to 5. Now, the truth of the matter is, because it's a 4th root, I don't know if it's positive or negative 5. So I'm going to have to multiply, if you will, by positive or negative 5. So when I take 3.4 times 5, I'm going to get plus or minus 17. Okay? But then, when I work my way through here, if you will, that if this is a negative 5, that will be a negative 5, and that will be, hold on, right here. So this is, then when I multiply again, 17 times 5, it's going to end up giving you every other one, I think. Or actually, I really don't know, so we'll just go ahead and put, because you really don't know whether it's positive or if it's negative. If it was negative, and I did that, yeah, it's every other one, okay? Because that could be positive or negative. 3.4 times positive 5 would be positive 17. 3.4 times negative 5 would be negative 17. But now, if I have a negative 17 and I multiply by a positive, or multiply by a negative, if it's a negative, and I multiply by a negative, it'll be a positive. If it was a positive, I multiply by a positive, it'd be a positive. Here, it's going to be plus or minus. So again, it's going to be every other one. So 85 times 17, or times 5, sorry, is 425. Okay? So let me explain that again, why it's plus or minus. let's say it was positive 5. Okay, if it was positive 5, that's going to be positive, that's going to be positive, and that's going to be positive. But if it was negative, and I multiply here, I'm going to get a negative here. Then when I have a negative times a negative, it's going to be a positive. A positive times a negative, again, would be a negative. So it can only be literally every other one. Let's do another one of those, and then we'll finish this up. Let's say I've got 2 blanks, and I've got a 25, and I've got 4 more blanks, and I've got a 32 over 125. Okay, let me check the camera. Okay, so I know a sub 3, and I know this. So you actually, if you wanted to, you could put that as, well, we could work backwards and find, but we don't know the common ratio. So we'll treat this as a sub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be a sub 6. Those are the 2 that we know. So a sub 6 is equal to a sub 1 times r times 6 minus 1. So a sub 6 is 32 over 125. A sub 1 would be 25 if we let that be the beginning and ending of our series. Okay, times r raised to the 5th power. So I'm going to divide by 25. So I have 32 divided by 125 divided by 25. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a fraction out of it. So it's 32 over 3,125 is equal to r to the 5th power. So I'm going to take the 5th root. Again, I'm going to have to use the math part on there and go down to number 5. The 5th root of 32 is going to give me a 2 on the top. Okay, now because it's a odd power, I don't have plus or minus. Okay, I know it's going to be positive. And then I'm going to take the 5th root, again 5, and then math, and then down to number 5. And I'm going to plug in 3, 1, 2, 5, and I'm going to get 5. So this right here, this r to the 5th power, I messed that up, is going to give me an r value of 2/5. So I'm going to multiply 2/5, 2/5, 2/5, and so forth. Okay, and then back here, I'm going to have to divide. So 25, let's go forward that way, times 2 divided by 5, that's going to give me a 10. Times 2 divided by 5 is going to give me a 4. Times 2 divided by 5 is going to give me an 8/5. Times 2 divided by 5 is going to give me a 16/20. Then if I go backwards and I say 25 divided by 2 divided by 5, it's going to give me 125 over 2. And then when I multiply by 2/5, it's going to give me the 25. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to divide that one by 2 divided by 5. And that's going to give me 625 over 4. And so you can check it by just making sure this times this gives me this, this times this gives me this, and so forth all the way down. All right, your homework on this section is page 667, 18 through 40 even. And again, you've got the answers to these in your packet.